Accessing your money before payday sounds like the ultimate financial life hack. You worked the hours, you earned the cash, so why should you have to wait 2 weeks for a paycheck? This exact premise is why millions of people turn to EarnIn. But while earned wage access can bail you out in a tight pinch, far too many beginners walk blindly into traps that leave them broke, stressed, and stuck in a perpetual cycle of chasing their own tail. If you are using EarnIn or thinking about setting up an account, you need to understand how this platform actually works, where new users make critical mistakes, and how to protect your personal bank account from sudden surprises. The first and most common mistake beginners make is psychological, treating an EarnIn cash out like free extra money or a bonus. When you tap that button and transfer $100 into your checking account, it feels like found cash. But every single dollar you pull forward is a dollar that will be automatically debited from your bank account the exact second your real paycheck lands. The fear of not having enough money for immediate bills makes people focus entirely on today, completely ignoring next Friday. If your take-home pay is normally $800 and you transfer out $300 throughout the pay period, your actual paycheck on payday is only $500. When payday arrives, you suddenly realize you cannot pay your rent or buy groceries because your paycheck is severely depleted. What do most beginners do next? They immediately cash out from EarnIn again just to survive the week. This creates a continuous loop where you are permanently living one step behind your income, constantly paying back yesterday's living expenses with tomorrow's labor. The second major trap is failing to realize how small fees add up to massive percentages. EarnIn advertises itself as a flexible service with no forced interest or mandatory fees. Instead, they offer voluntary tipping and an optional lightning speed feature for instant transfers. On paper, tipping $2 or $3 or paying a small speed fee feels like practically nothing. However, the math behind these micropayments reveals a very different story. If you transfer $50 for a few days and tip $3 plus pay a $2 express transfer fee, you just paid $5 to borrow $50 for less than a week. Calculated as an annualized percentage rate, that small $5 cost translates to an interest rate far higher than most credit cards or traditional loans. When beginners use instant transfers multiple times every week and leave generous tips out of habit, they quietly drain tens of dollars every single month, money that should be sitting in a savings account. The third mistake involves timing discrepancies and bank overdrafts. Many users ask why EarnIn debited their account before their direct deposit even posted. Here is how the mechanics actually work. EarnIn schedules your automatic repayment debit based on your expected pay schedule. On payday, EarnIn sends an automated debit request to your bank. If your employer experiences a slight payroll delay, or if your bank takes longer than usual to clear your direct deposit on a holiday morning, EarnIn's debit might process before your actual paycheck clears. If your account balance was sitting close to zero, that early debit triggers an overdraft fee from your bank. Suddenly, you are hit with a $35 fee simply because the timing between the app and your financial institution was off by a few hours. Another technical blunder beginners commit is failing to manage location permissions, timesheets, and bank sync settings properly. EarnIn tracks earned wages either by verifying your work location through GPS or by connecting to your employer's electronic timesheet system. Beginners often turn off location tracking to save phone battery or forget to sync their updated bank credentials after changing passwords. When the app cannot verify that you actually worked those hours, your available earnings cap suddenly resets to zero. Furthermore, unused earned wages do not roll over from one pay period to the next. On payday, your accumulated earnings counter resets because you now have full access to your full paycheck. Beginners who expect unused virtual balances to carry over end up confused when their in-app limit drops. So how do you actually use EarnIn correctly without burning your finances? The actionable takeaway is to treat EarnIn strictly as an emergency brake, never as a routine budgeting tool. First, if you must use the app, reserve cash outs exclusively for unexpected, urgent expenses like an emergency car repair or a medical prescription, never for everyday discretionary spending. Second, opt for standard ACH transfers whenever possible instead of paying for instant speed, and keep tips minimal or zero while you are building back your financial security. Third, leave a minimum buffer of at least $50 to $100 in your checking account on payday so that minor timing glitches do not trigger expensive overdraft penalties. Most importantly, use EarnIn as a temporary bridge while you actively build a cash starter emergency fund. Once you have even $500 saved in a separate account, you will never need to borrow against your own future paycheck again.